Good morning, everyone. My name is Homer, and I'm an account manager here at StorageCraft Asia Pacific. And it's my pleasure today to be going through a demonstration of enterprise disaster recovery for physical, virtual, and cloud environments with you. Just before we get started today, guys, within the demonstration, if I could get someone to just within the questions or chat box to type in that they can see my screen and can hear me clearly, that'd be much appreciated. Fantastic. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. All right. Well, then, without further ado, we'll get into the demonstration. So the first solution that I'm planning on discussing with you guys today is called Head Start Restore. And today I'm going to be demonstrating with you how easy it is to create a Head Start Restore job and then finalize a Head Start Restore job. So what I'm going to do to begin with is open up a piece of software we've got called Image Manager. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Image Manager, just a quick overview. Image Manager is a free piece of software that is used in conjunction with Shadow Protect. Its core responsibilities are the verification, the consolidation, the retention policies. It's also the console we use for site-to-site replication, and it's also the console that we use for Head Start Restore. Okay, so there's really two common reasons that a customer might use Head Start Restore. So the first is as an enterprise-level disaster recovery solution or as a standby virtual server, which is what we're here to discuss today. So let's say you have the problem that you want a standby server to take over in case your primary server fails. Well, let's see how we can address this using Head Start Restore. What you would do is you would have your production server generating continuous incremental backups, and you would configure a Head Start Restore solution to automatically restore those incremental backup images into a virtual machine file. Now, if your production server fails for any reason, you would finalize the Head Start Restore and then use the recovery environment to apply any remaining incremental images to the virtual machine. And then you would bring it online as a replacement for the failed production server in a matter of minutes. The second reason which customers these days are using Head Start Restore, which isn't as common but it's actually quite handy, is as a virtual server migration tool. So what you can do is, say for example, you needed to migrate a new server to migrate a server to a new virtual machine environment, but of course nobody wants to be offline for say 3 days whilst the migration is occurring. What you can do is you would keep your old server running and generating the incremental backups while you begin a Head Start Restore of the same backup chain into a virtual machine file. Now what's going to happen is over time the Head Start Restore will catch up to the most current incremental, at which point you can then take the old server down in off hours, for example, and then apply any final incremental backups to the new server and bring the new system online very quickly. So let's actually go through this process now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and add a new Head Start Restore job. So if I come to the top right here, you'll notice the file types that we've got. We've got VMDK, so if we're moving into a VMware environment, we've got VHD, VHDX for Hyper-V environments, and we also have this third option here, this fourth option here, which is volume, which now supports Head Start Restore into an empty NTFS or empty raw volume. So for demo purposes, what I'll do is I will create a Head Start Restore, and let's go with VHDX. So I'll give it a name, HSR into Hyper-V. Cool. We can see here I've got my destination type, so for the demo I've got local and network drive because I've chosen VHDX. If I did choose VMDK, we can see here I've now got local, network, or straight into an ESXi server. So those are the different options that change there when I choose a different type. For the demo I'll choose my local. I've got a location here, a pre-selected location called Head Start Restore Volumes, and what I'll do is I'll create a subdirectory and I'll just title it HSR into Hyper-V. Okay, so if I come down to this bottom panel here, we can see we've got a lag time option. Now, what the lag time is, guys, it's the difference between the Shadow Protect incremental image being created and it being applied to the Head Start Restore job. So the reason that we would set ourselves a lag time is, for example, our Exchange server has a corruption or an error occurs. We want to set ourselves a lag time so that it does not get pushed into the Head Start Restore job. So for this demonstration, I'll set a lag time of, say, 4 hours. Now I'll come to Head Start Restore Volume, choose my volume, hit OK, and hit Save. Okay, so what it's doing right now, guys, it's in the process of restoring the base image and all subsequent incrementals up until 4 hours. So with this particular managed folder that I've got here, my demo purposes Exchange 2010 server folder, I've got 26 incrementals. So essentially, because I'm 4 hours behind, and with that managed folder, I'm backing up every 15 minutes. You've got 4 hours, 4 times 4 is 16. I'm going to be 16 incremental images behind theoretically. So I'll just minimize this for a tick if that's okay, and I'll come to the location of where I'm actually storing this. And we can see here I've got HSR into Hyper-V, and you can see right now as we continue to restore that image, that is continuing to grow there. So I'll minimize this. Come back into Image Manager. Okay, so with regards to Head Start Restore, you can see here I now have a job, and I've got a HSR that I've prepared earlier. So what I want to actually show you now is finalizing the job. So if I go into this, guys, you can see here, for this particular one, I've got a lag time of 1 hour. Now, as mentioned, my schedule for this is every 15 minutes, so essentially I'm 4 incrementals behind. So I'll cancel this, and you can see, as I mentioned, I had 26 incrementals in this managed folder. If I now choose to finalize this, it'll say automatically pick the most recent backup image. I also have options. So, for example, you know, I can choose the last incremental, which it automatically will do, but if there was a virus or a corruption or something like that and I wanted to choose a different recovery point, I've got those options there. So for the demo, I will automatically choose the most recent backup. It'll say, yes, would you like to choose that backup point in time? I'll say yes. And as you can see now, it's in the process of restoring the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th incrementals. Now, because we are discussing enterprise disaster recovery, what you would then need to do is run hardware independent restore to successfully bring your new VM online. But as you can see here, we've now finalized that image. So that pretty much sums up the enterprise level disaster recovery aspect of it with the Head Start Restore solution. What I will now go on to, guys, if that's okay, is the StorageCraft Disaster Recovery Cloud. So I'll minimize that. And I'll just come to my web browser, and I'm just logging into my customer login of the StorageCraft Cloud services. So to give you a quick overview of the StorageCraft Disaster Recovery Cloud, everything we do at StorageCraft is very much recovery oriented. So with our cloud, what we have the ability to do is stand up a server in a virtualized environment for full-blown disaster recovery. So we can see here from this account, the account I've got here is Homer's Cheeseburgers. We can see some basic information, how much space we're currently using in the cloud, data growth for 1/7/30 days, any active virtual networks, and any active virtual machines if we've indeed invoked DR. So I'll come to devices here, and I'll come to Exchange Server. This is just for demo purposes, where you can see here the newest recovery point, the oldest recovery point, the number of recovery points, and what tiers of cloud service we have enabled. So I'll come into this tab called Virtualization. This is what's called our Cloud Premium service, which is our premium offering, which allows you to stand up a server in the StorageCraft Cloud for full-blown DR. So this is really related to, you know, if the site's burnt down, if there's a natural disaster, bushfire, or if it's, you know, earthquake, things like that. That's really where you'll be using the StorageCraft Disaster Recovery Cloud. So we can see here, for demo purposes, I've got a number of recovery points. Logically speaking, you would always choose the most recent recovery point you have available to you. I would hit load. Now this is where I can set myself some parameters. So for the demo, I'll give it 2 cores. I'll give it 4 gig of RAM. I'll give it a network type of NAT mode, and I'll hit create PM. So what this is essentially doing is preparing my virtual machine in the StorageCraft Cloud. What it's then going to do is prompt me for my backup image password, as you can see there. But what I'll do now is I'll come to access control and just ensure that my IP address is correct, which it is, which is fine. And I'll put in my backup image password and hit start virtual machine. So within, say, 30 to 40 seconds, we will be up and running in the StorageCraft Disaster Recovery Cloud for full-blown DR. what we can then do after that is, as you can see, so we can see here virtual machine is in use for production failover. And we have tried to make it very much similar to Shadow Protect, where you're following the bouncing ball. It is very intuitive and it's very much user-friendly, because obviously in a disaster situation you don't want to be going through manuals and things like that. You want to be able to invoke DR very simply. So what I can do now is I can download an RDP link very simply, and I can now run an RDP session of that server to gain access of that server. So you can see we're about to get access to that server, so I'm running an RDP link there. There you go. So we can see here I've now got access to the server. So it's just a blank demo Exchange server. So I'll exit out of that now. The next process would be then getting the users back online, and that's more on the networking side of things. It requires a little bit more technical detail. I won't go into too much detail about that, because if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the StorageCraft Cloud services, I would suggest you get in touch with your StorageCraft account manager, and they'll be able to organize a demonstration for you. But what I will do is, so that was the Cloud Premium, which is the virtualization. I will just outline what the other two tiers of cloud service are. So the Cloud Basic is the first tier, and what that is in the case of a disaster recovery situation, you can request a StorageCraft BMR drive. You choose your point in time. Now you can see here for this particular situation, it says an existing virtual machine was found, and it's saying that we've already pre-selected a point in time for you. But as you can see there, but alternative to that, if you're using the basic service, you can choose your point in time, and then we'll send you via Express Post a StorageCraft BMR drive where you can rebuild your server from. And the middle tier, so that's the Cloud Basic. The top tier was Cloud Premium, and the middle tier is Cloud Plus, which is what I've just mentioned with the Cloud Basic, but it also enables file and folder restore. So again, you can choose your recovery point in time, put in your backup image password, and then gain access to the files and folders that you want, download them in a zip format, and send them across to the relevant people that need them. So in a disaster recovery situation, what might be valuable is, say, for example, your accounting or MYOB file. That might be something that you really urgently need to get to, so that you know who owes you money, who you owe money to, etc. So guys, that pretty much sums up the demonstration for today. Hopefully you got some value out of it, and you're able to see some of the solutions that we can provide in the enterprise disaster recovery situation. So again, as I mentioned, everything we do at StorageCraft is very much recovery orientated. We are focused on recovery. So if you have any questions now, feel free to shoot them through.